Our next speaker is David Strogatz. Dr. Strogatz is the director of the Center for Rural Community Health at Bassett Research Institute. He's going to be talking about the vehicle condition and features, information from direct inspections of the vehicle and self-reports.
Thank you. So I'm not only the co-PI for the upstate New York site, which is in Cooperstown, but I also do the vehicle inspections. I actually did two yesterday before flying over here, and we do them outdoors in all kinds of weather, which in upstate New York can get pretty interesting. So which is to say that I have a really sort of vivid familiarity with this process for measuring the characteristics of vehicles, and so I wanted today to share what we've observed at our site so far, and then also talk about how that compares with what participants separately have said about what is in their cars. Oops. So this, you've seen this now for, I think, 3 presentations in a row, so I won't go over this, except to say that I noticed in the keynote this morning, I think Dr. Young had a slide where he indicated that only 3.3% of adults 65 and over do not have a healthcare provider. So when he mentioned this important notion of making sure you have the right people in the study, that gave me a sense that we probably do have the right people in our study by drawing from primary care clinics and people who are actively seeing a healthcare provider, in the sense that that's the vast majority of individuals in this age group. We also have an issue with snowbirds as well, and I think it's not only important in terms of being able to track crashes and convictions in the state, but also, whereas obviously we are a site with rural drivers, then we want to, I think it's helpful for inferential purposes to maintain that the folks at our site are individuals who do their driving in rural places. But I'm going to spend most of my time talking about the presence of technologies in cars, but I wanted to mention that we also collect pretty extensive information on the condition of the car. We don't have that comparison information from what people say about their cars, so, but I still wanted to briefly mention the sort of things that we do when we're characterizing vehicle condition. We begin with measuring tire tread and tire air pressure. We do a very systematic inventory of the body, this body condition, where we have actually very helpful narrative and pictures to make judgments about whether we've got minor, moderate, or severe scratches, dents, and rust in the car body. We similarly document whether there are any chips or cracks in the windows, the windshield, the lights, and the mirrors. Then we go inside the car, turn on the ignition, get the odometer reading, make sure all the lights are working, the windshield wipers, the washer fluid. We note whether any dashboard warning lights are on, and at that point, we then turn toward the presence of the different technologies. And this is the list of what we're looking for: adaptive cruise control, semi-autonomous braking assist, the backup or parking assist, blind spot warning, fatigue or drowsy driver alert, forward collision warning, lane departure warning, navigation assistance, night vision enhancement, and voice control system. So in order to measure and determine whether these features are present or absent in the car, again, we have, and to do that very accurately and reliably across the 5 sites, we have, again, a procedure manual with very specific narrative as well as pictures that I'll show you of what we should be looking for. And the examples of which are for adaptive cruise control. These are the icons that we will look for in the car. For backup parking assist, we have both the cameras as well as the audible, if in fact it's that. And actually, the one distinction between this feature and the other ones we look for is we actually can test whether this one's not only present but also functions, because we have somebody standing behind the car to determine that the tail lights, the reverse lights, the rear hazard lights, and so on are working. So at that time, we can also see if, in fact, with the person standing behind us, the camera works, the person is on camera, or if it's audible, we hear a warning that, in fact, somebody is back there. These are the blind spot warning icons. They either will show up on the side view mirrors, or you can see that also there's a turn signal that activates blind spot warning on the right-hand side. We have icons to look for forward collision warning. Yeah, and again, there are multiple possibilities, and they're all different places for, in this case, lane departure warning. And last but not least, the one that is actually easiest and most predictably found is a voice control system icon. And so that's what we've got in terms of, and what I'm doing when I'm outside looking at the car. Simultaneously, we have somebody inside working with a participant going through a battery of assessments, and that includes a vehicle technology questionnaire, where we go through not only the technologies that I cited, but there are actually some additional ones included in the questionnaire that we don't have in the direct inspection. For each of the technologies that are included in this questionnaire, I just show you a sample of two of the items for voice control system and for the backup parking assist system. You can see that for each of the technologies, there's a definition to make clear to the participant exactly what we're looking for. So a voice control system allowing you to control vehicle features such as radio or navigation system using commands you speak out loud. And then does your vehicle have a voice control system installed by the manufacturer? Again, we separately are going to ask later on for any modifications or adaptations people have put into place after they've purchased the car. So these set of technologies are all specific to features that came with the car. And similarly for backup parking assist, helping the driver back up park by either providing audible proximity alerts that sound to warn the driver when the front or rear of the vehicle is near an object, or by providing a rear view camera with a grid, sounds, lights, symbols to assist driver in avoiding obstacles while reversing. So again, I think the point here is to give participants a very clear depiction of what we're asking about, and then seeing if they indicate that, in fact, yep, I've got that in my car. And then in addition to identifying whether the technology is present or absent, we also have some technology-specific questions, and again, using the examples that I provided before, if somebody indicates they do have the voice control system, we ask them how they learned to use the system and their close option responses from a friend, from a neighbor, from a manual, did the car dealer show you, et cetera. How often you use the system, again, with response options ranging from always to never. And finally, does having the system make you a safer driver? And that one is simply answered yes or no. For backup and parking assist, again, how did you learn to use the system? How easy was it to learn how to use the system, ranging from very difficult to very easy? And then how well does the system assist you in the following situations: seeing oncoming traffic from behind, avoiding objects, parallel parking. And so for each of the technologies, there may be separate kind of specific questions to get at their perceptions for how easy or difficult it was to begin using them, using them in different kinds of circumstances or contexts. I think all the technologies do have this concluding question about, does having the system make you a safer driver? And so, as I said, I'm the one who's outside doing the vehicle inspection. A colleague is with the participant, asking them, well, doing a whole battery of baseline assessments, including asking them these questions. And so one of the things that I wondered about was the degree to which, well, first of all, how prevalent these technologies are, and is that different from what we might have expected? And then second, is there a good match between what I'm actually seeing or observing in the car and what people are reporting that they have in their car? Do these two versions of reality line up? And if they don't, then how do we make sense of that? Are we overlooking something? Are people not aware of things? Are they reporting things mistakenly that they think they have but they actually don't have? So we have the opportunity to see if, in fact, there is some lack of concordance, what all that means. And so, as others have said, we're still in the process of enrolling our baseline data, but I thought I would share at least what we've got so far. So I looked at the first 300 of our 600 participants just at our Cooperstown site. So again, this is half of the participants from one of the 5 sites. So we don't chisel this into marble or granite, but at least I thought I would share what we've got so far. First, beginning with the model year of our vehicles, as was mentioned before, we've got to have something that's 1996 or more recent. You can see a little over half of the vehicles at the Cooperstown site are vehicles made within the last 5 years, so 2011 to 2016, and it tails off after that. And obviously that has implications in terms of the likelihood that we're going to see advanced technologies in these cars. We're going to taper off as you get into older vehicles. So here's what I've seen for what I've seen. Other people do the inspections too. So here's what we've seen for the prevalence of advanced technologies from inspection for the first 300 participants. You can see for voice control system, based on that icon that was on the slide, almost half of the cars have that icon. And then we go down from there, about 37% have backup or parking assist either by the camera or sound. A little under 15% have navigation assistance, and then things drop off rather sharply. 7% blind spot warning, a little under 4% for forward collision and lane departure warning, and then under 3% for adaptive cruise control. And there are a couple additional features that I'd mentioned in the previous slide, like drowsy driver alert, night vision enhancement, even lower than that. Actually, I think I can probably count them on one hand. So here's now participant report is in red. So the same numbers on the left-hand side from what I showed in the last slide. And you can, so we'll get back to voice control in a moment, but you can see for the other technologies, they line up pretty closely. So a little bit off, and it could be, again, that either we have overlooked something or they have over-reported or misinterpreted the item. The obvious, big difference is voice control system, where we see the icon in almost half the cars, but only about 20% of participants say yes to that question that I showed you before about a voice control system where you can command the radio, navigation, etc. I'll say more about that discrepancy soon, but I wanted to show you some of those follow-up questions that we have on technologies. So for the individuals who have them, reporting that they use them always or often. And it's very high for it's at the ceiling for forward collision, also high for blind spot and lane departure warning, lower for adaptive cruise control, and then the navigation assistance that's asked how often you use it when you're in an unfamiliar place. And even so, only 40% have indicated when they're driving around in an unfamiliar place that they will use navigation assistance. The next slide, I'll show you the report in terms of the technologies and whether they make you a safer driver, and you can see higher values there, 100% for the top 3, and then down, but still the vast majority endorse these features as helping with safety. So this last slide breaks down the discrepancy that I noted before in terms of the voice control system. So beginning, again, with the 300 that we've inspected, 157 say that we found on inspection did not have that icon, 143 did. Of the 143, 59 say yes, that in essence their report agrees with what we saw, but there were 84 who apparently reported not having the system despite the icon. Of those 84, 56 reported yes to a separate whoops. Wow. So close and yet so far. Let's see. I'll zoom. All right, so of the individual, You'll have to believe me. This is like what I used to teach medieval education. The authority of the day says it's true. Of the people where you have disagreement, 2/3 of the people who said, I don't have a voice control system, do have Bluetooth connectivity. And so they would say, yeah, I've got Bluetooth, I can link with my cell phone, but I don't have, at least they're reporting, I don't have the ability to control radio or navigation. The other third said, I don't have Bluetooth, I don't have control over navigation or radio, and yet they have the icon. So this leaves something for us to explore. And again, I just want to leave you with a closing comment. This, half of the participants from 1 of 5 sites, but I think it gives us at least an initial sense for how prevalent the technologies are, what our power will be for trying to look at the predictive ability of technologies, to look at driving outcomes. And I also will be interested to see if there are rural, urban, and suburban differences, given that our people in rural places aren't on highways, and so perhaps there's less demand for things like lane departure warning or adaptive cruise control. Thank you.